Imagiverse Studios presents Tales from the Horrorweb, an audio-only series based on the short stories by Gavin Pryor. Tonight's story is called The Scarecrow of Grand River. While on a 3-day weekend break at Grand River, Andrew, his siblings, and cousins encounter a scarecrow that comes to life at night and hunts down any human. Their lives are at risk. In a small town named Grand River, the carnival was shutting down for the night. Everybody was going home while the lights from the rides and booths were turned off. 2 teenage lovebirds were walking to the parking lot to hop in their car and drive home. Howard asked, "How did our night go?" Lisa says, "It was great. Our day at the carnival wasn't as bad as I thought. My favorite part of it was that we went on a haunted house ride and I almost got scared. What about you?" Howard said, "We won a game of ring toss and I won some cool glasses." "And I got a stuffed bear when I played it," Lisa said. "I might give this to my sister as a gift. The most fun part was that we got to see a view from the top of a Ferris wheel." Howard says, "I'm pretty glad that you enjoyed it." The carnival was held every year in the fall on an empty field near an abandoned farm, where a scarecrow stood there wearing brown pants, a black shirt, a brown fabric coat, brown gloves, and a straw hat. On its face, made from a burlap sack, were holes resembling eyes and a mouth with sharp teeth. It walked away from the field, grabbed a scythe, and ran down a hill to the parking lot. As the two were about to get in the car, they noticed the scarecrow running towards them. They were instantly shocked and tried to get in their car as quickly as they could. Howard yells, "Hurry! We got to get away from that thing!" It was too late for them. The scarecrow rose with the scythe and swung it at Howard and Lisa, slicing them clean. Their heads were chopped off as they collapsed onto the car. The scarecrow left and took their heads back to the field, where he was resting. The next day, Andrew, along with his brother Tom, who was about 12 years old, and his 15-year-old sister Jessie were visiting Grand River to meet up with their cousins Bradley and Shelley, who live at Uncle Fred's house. They were staying there for their 3-day break from school. As they got out of the bus, their cousins were waiting outside with a smile. Andrew said, "Hi, Bradley. Nice to see you around." "Hey, it's nice to see you too," said Bradley. "I haven't seen you in a while." "Our uncle isn't home right now as he is at the market selling produce. So we have the whole house to ourselves?" asked Jessie. Shelley said, "Well, yes, but we can't have any friends over." Andrew said, "Thanks for reminding us of that. So what do you want to do when we get home?" "We could play a board game or something," said Bradley. "I'm not sure what we should do today. Most likely, we would just look at the abandoned farm that is just sitting here on top of the hill. It closed down in 1976 due to some financial problems," said Shelley. "They forgot to remove the scarecrow off the premises, so it's just standing there for no reason at all. I will tell you more about it when we get home," said Bradley. When they got to their uncle's house, they sat down in the living room to hear Bradley's tale about the scarecrow. So the scarecrow was supposed to scare away the birds who were invading their crops, said Bradley. But after they shut down the farm, the scarecrow is said to come to life at night and hunt down unsuspecting victims. It sometimes wanders around town with a scythe, just like what the Grim Reaper would hold as a weapon. Some people would often lock their doors and windows to make sure that the scarecrow didn't get in. We don't know how it comes to life at all. Some people say that it was a poltergeist at work. We would often see the scarecrow on an occasional basis. We don't see it every night, said Shelley. Tom said, "I think it was dark magic or something." Bradley said, "That's what people say. My uncle used to visit this farm back in those days." We might be able to take you there if we get the chance. Tom said, I don't know. Don't you think that this could be illegal? Shelley said, the cops haven't been there since it closed, so it might be clear that we could have a good chance to get in there before they do. Tom said, I'm probably going to stay here. I'd rather just listen to the radio than go somewhere that is abandoned. What if I get hurt or something? Shelley says, don't worry, you'll be fine, I assure you. Tom said, okay. Hours later, after their uncle came home from the market, they drove them to the farm. Uncle Fred said, there we are. That's the place I used to visit. It sure feels good to bring back the memories of the past. Would you agree? Tom said, I've never been there before. Uncle Fred said, I could show you around. My father used to take me there during my childhood. They got out of the car and went to the field to see the scarecrow that had hunted down victims over the years. Is that the scarecrow that comes to life at night? Tom asked. I heard that story from Bradley. Uncle Fred replies, so they say. I've seen the scarecrow sometimes at night. I don't see it every night, so it is unclear whether or not it comes to life. It's probably someone in a costume pulling our leg. Not sure why many people had been mysteriously killed. Shelley said, I clearly believe in ghosts, so I do think the scarecrow could be causing these murders to happen. Uncle Fred said, you could be right. It just scares away the birds in the daytime, Andrew said. I'm not sure if I will be able to catch one at night. If I do get the chance to, however, I will post it on social media for the whole world to see. Bradley said, that could be unlikely to happen, but it sounds good. Uncle Fred said, nope, we should just do our best to stay clear of this scarecrow as much as possible. We never know who's the next victim of the scarecrow. Later that night, when they got back to their uncle's house, Tom and Andrew were getting ready for bed. The visit to the farm wasn't so bad, Tom said. Andrew replies, yep, and guess where we are going tomorrow? The carnival is in town, and my uncle is going to bring us there as a treat for all of us. Really? Said Tom. Is he really going to bring us here? That sounds exciting for all of us. Andrew said, and that's not all. He told me that he worked on a pumpkin carving for the contest he is attending. Tom asked, when do we get to see it? Andrew said, tomorrow. Okay then, I can't wait to see what it looks like, said Tom. Meanwhile, somewhere in town, a car had broken down in the middle of the road. A man had stepped outside of the car and was waiting for help. When the scarecrow was approaching slowly towards that man, he clutched his scythe in his hands. The man turned to see the scarecrow that was approaching him, but it stood still the moment he looked at it. That's a very disturbing scarecrow I am seeing there, said Trevor. I'm pretty sure it was from some haunted attraction, but was dropped off here by mistake. When he turned away, the scarecrow ran to him and sliced him in half while the man wasn't looking. The man collapsed to the ground as his head rolled down the hill and onto a nearby creek. The scarecrow went to the creek to pick up the head and brought it back to the field. The next morning, Andrew and the rest had gone downstairs to see the pumpkin carving that their uncle had made. It was a farm with a cow, a horse, a chicken, and a pig. I made this 2 days ago, said Uncle Fred. I had to put it in the freezer so it would stay fresh and wouldn't rot, because if it does rot, then I would be disqualified. Tom replied, it looks nice. Andrew said, I like this carving. It looks like what I have thought up in my mind. Uncle Fred replies, actually, it was made based on my trip to the farm a few years ago. Jesse said, I'm sure that you could win the pumpkin carving contest. Just wait until you see what I made for the contest. Jessie showed her carving of a pumpkin. It was a scarecrow with a smiley face, a straw hat, and a plaid shirt. Jessie asked, "What do you think?" Uncle Fred replies, "It's great. Maybe you should help me come up with another pumpkin carving someday." Andrew said, "That looks pretty nice, Jessie." "Thank you," Jessie replied. Uncle Fred said, "I cannot wait to bring you all to the carnival tonight. I'm sure that all of you will have a fun time here." At 4:45, their uncle drove them to the carnival, where the contest would be held. As they got out of the car, they walked to the tent where many pumpkin carvings are displayed. Uncle Fred had signed up and placed his pumpkin on a pedestal for the judges to look at later. Jessie had also signed up and placed her pumpkin on the pedestal as well. Uncle Fred said, "The winner isn't announced until 8 p.m. That means that some of you have plenty of time to look around at the carnival and see what we could do. Jessie and I will be here to present the sculptures we made to some of the people. In the meantime, here is some money for the wristbands for the rides you might be able to go on. I'm also giving you some money for food, just in case you get hungry. Meet me back here at 7:50-ish, so you don't miss out on the contest." "Sounds good," Andrew says. "I'll text you if we're going to be late." "All right, I'll see you all later," Uncle Fred replied. They then left the tent while Uncle Fred and Jessie stayed there. Little did Andrew, Tom, Shelley, and Bradley knew that the Scarecrow had arrived at the carnival carrying a scythe on his back so he could use it to kill them. Tom and Andrew had gone on the Ferris wheel. As they stopped at the top, they could see the Scarecrow that they had seen yesterday on their trip to the farm. Tom asked, "Is that the Scarecrow we saw from the farm?" Andrew replies, "Where?" "There," said Tom. Tom pointed to where the Scarecrow was. Andrew looked at it and was shocked to see it come to life. "That is the Scarecrow, and it just sprung to life," Andrew said. "We better warn Bradley and Shelley about this." Meanwhile, Bradley and Shelley were on the Gravitron. As the ride was spinning in fast motion, the ride operator asked if he had seen the Scarecrow walk to the line of the attraction. He shrugs it off and thinks that it is someone in a costume. When the ride stopped, he got off and let another person take charge while he was on break. The Scarecrow had followed him behind a nearby tent. When the ride operator turned to face the Scarecrow, he looked at it funny. "Will you stop following me, sir?" the ride operator said. "You're creeping me out." The Scarecrow had grabbed his scythe and chopped his head clean off. Bradley and Shelley had gotten off the ride and noticed the Scarecrow carrying the head of the ride operator. "Oh my gosh," Bradley said. "That's the Scarecrow we saw earlier. You think he knows we're here?" "No," replied Shelley. "Let's inform Andrew and Tom about this." Bradley and Shelley ran up to them. They met up near the funnel cake stand. Tom said, "We saw it too. It was going to the Gravitron." Bradley replied, "That's the ride we have been on. We haven't seen him since we got off the ride." Andrew asked, "What if it went after Jessie too?" Shelley said, "She is probably going to be fine." Bradley asked, "What should we do?" Andrew said, "All I could think of was to wait until the Scarecrow came by." Shelley said, "And then what?" Tom said, "I think we should trap it in a cage." Andrew replies, "Good thinking, brother. But we don't have a cage. Any other bright ideas?" Tom spotted a vacant cage that was rusty and had not been used for years. "I think I found one," said Tom. They all looked at the cage. Andrew said, "Never mind. I think we should put it into action." They took the cage and placed it somewhere in a vacant barn. They opened the cage and stood by to wait for the Scarecrow. 10 minutes passed by, and Tom had gone out of the barn to use the bathroom. Andrew, Shelley, and Bradley were still inside, waiting for the Scarecrow. What if the Scarecrow didn't show up? Asked Andrew. Shelley replies, he is still coming. We might have to wait for a moment. Meanwhile, after using the bathroom, Tom was walking back to the barn. He heard some rustling in the trees. Hello? Said Tom. He slowly approached the noise. The Scarecrow popped out from the trees and chased Tom into the woods. He ran past a few trees as the Scarecrow chased him with a scythe clutched in his hands. He got to the barn, where Andrew, Shelley, and Bradley were waiting. He ran inside the barn with the Scarecrow. Tom yelled, I found the Scarecrow! Andrew quickly ran to the cage door and closed it, trapping the Scarecrow. Thank goodness you found him and that you are safe, Andrew said. Shelley said, come on, let's get him and show it to our uncle. They grabbed the cage containing the Scarecrow and brought it outside. The people stared in complete shock as they brought the Scarecrow to the tent. Hey gang, what's going on? Uncle Fred said. The moment he saw the Scarecrow, he gasped in amazement. You caught the Scarecrow, said Uncle Fred. How did you do it? You see, there is a cage that no one has used, so we used it to trap the Scarecrow, Andrew said. Uncle Fred said, that's pretty good, but I think we should put it back where it belongs before he gets mad and escapes. We will do this after we have won the contest. Okay? Sounds okay to me, replied Tom. We have to make sure it stays in the cage. All right then, said Uncle Fred. The Scarecrow tried to break free from the cage, but the doors wouldn't open until the top broke off. He climbed out of the cage and grabbed his scythe in anger. That's not going to keep him here for long, said Uncle Fred. Let's get out of here. They ran out of the tent and ran to a nearby field. Tom, Andrew, and Jesse ran to a nearby fence and jumped over it. The Scarecrow opened it with force. They stopped at a tractor nearby and hid inside. It had spinning blades to cut the crops. I think he's gone, said Andrew. Jesse checked outside through the windows. Did we lose him? Asked Jesse. The Scarecrow was looking for them outside when it stumbled upon a tractor they were hiding in. It approached the tractor slowly. Tom accidentally turned it on by turning the keys. The blades on the tractor started to spin. The Scarecrow didn't notice the blades when he was approaching it, so it ended up getting caught in one of those blades and was chopped into bits. Andrew and Jesse were in shock when they saw it happen. Tom tried to turn off the ignition, but it was stuck. Shelley, Bradley, and their uncle ran to the scene. When Andrew had stopped the ignition, they got off the tractor and saw that the Scarecrow was destroyed. At least it's not after us anymore, Uncle Fred said. Wow, said Bradley. You three killed it. Shelley said, you three are such brave heroes. I guess that now the Scarecrow won't be able to haunt this town anymore, said Uncle Fred. Let's head back to the tent. It's almost time for the winners to be announced. When they got back to the tent at the carnival, Uncle Fred and Jesse had tied in the pumpkin carving contest, which they both won. The next morning, Andrew, Jesse, and Tom had packed up and gone to the bus stop. I hope all of you had fun at the carnival, Uncle Fred said, and thanks for stopping the Scarecrow. Andrew replies, it's the least we could do. Don't forget that you could visit us again soon, said Shelley. We might even visit you for Thanksgiving. Tom replies, okay, that sounds like a good day. See you for Thanksgiving. See you later, Bradley said. Tom, Andrew, and Jesse got on the bus and rode home. Andrew looked out of the window and saw the field they had run to last night. He saw the remains of the Scarecrow, which had been torn into pieces by the blades of the tractor. The scythe was still intact, but it was strangely rusted, as if it hadn't been used since the farm on the hill was shut down.